Hey runners, Coach Elizabeth here, back at you. Today I'm talking about 5 signs that you may be a salty sweater. Sweat isn't just water. There are some electrolytes in there, specifically sodium. I'm going to give you all the clues that you need to know if you are a salty sweater and what to do about it. When we're talking about sweat rate, you need to consider 2 things. The first would be how much you're sweating, that's your sweat rate, and then how much sodium you're actually losing in that sweat. So that's your sweat concentration. Now, everyone's going to be different. Athletes can lose anywhere from 350 micrograms of sodium per liter to 2,000 plus micrograms of sodium per liter. So that's a big window, and that will affect what products you choose to rehydrate with, how much, how often. So you really need to get a good grasp on kind of what your sodium losses are when you're sweating. Now, what would affect sweat rate in general? We've talked about this before. The outside temperature, the workload that you're doing. So is it high intensity? Is it low intensity? The duration, how long of an activity it is that you're doing, that will affect how much you're sweating. Genetics play a big part, as I've talked about before. And then the previous day's activities. So have you properly rehydrated? Did you train in the morning and now you're training again at night? Are you going into your sessions fully recovered? All of those things will affect your sweat rate. Now, why do I talk about sodium specifically? There's potassium, magnesium, calcium, sodium. Those are some of the key electrolytes. Sodium specifically because that's what's lost in the greatest concentration in our sweat, but it's also really crucial to performance. So sodium helps your gut absorb nutrients, which we want to make sure that we have that gut intact. Sodium helps keep your mind sharp, and it's also essential for impulse transmission and muscle contraction. All right, here's the part you've been waiting for, the 5 signs that you are a salty sweater. Now, research has shown that athletes who think they are salty sweaters usually are. So if you're one of those, that's already a good indication that you might be a salty sweater. Do you get those salty white marks on your clothing or on your skin? Sign number 1. Does your sweat taste extra salty or does it sting your eyes? That would be sign number 2. Is your dog licking your skin when you get home from a run? I know that my dog does. That's a sign that you have that extra salty sweat. Do you feel faint? This is number 3. Do you feel faint after training or kind of dizzy when you stand up? That's a sign in that blood pressure change that your sodium levels might be off. Number 4, do you feel absolutely terrible when training in the heat? Now, not all of us, I particularly like to train in the heat, but some of us, it's never overly comfortable. But do you feel extra nauseous, almost like you can't focus, and have a hard time kind of recovering from those super hot sessions? That could be a sign that you're losing a lot of sodium and that you're a salty sweater. And number 5, do you crave salty foods during and after exercise? That's a sign that you might be losing some of that sodium in your sweat, more so than others. Now, while I'm talking about electrolytes, I want to just hit on the other kind of 3 key electrolytes that you want to make sure that you're paying attention to. Potassium, magnesium, and calcium. So potassium helps prevent exercise exhaustion. It helps replenish your glycogen stores. It helps kind of support that intense training. Magnesium helps with sleep and it lowers inflammation. And calcium helps your heartbeat. So you want to make sure that you're looking at all of these electrolytes, not just sodium, when you're thinking about rehydration. All right, guys, I can't stress this enough. What a drastic and huge difference it makes being hydrated and being dehydrated and understanding if you are a salty sweater and how to balance those electrolytes. I'm not ringing the alarm bell and saying that everybody is a salty sweater, but you want to pay attention and figure out if you are or aren't. Lastly, I get this question a lot, isn't water enough? Hopefully you've learned from the video that when you're sweating, you're losing electrolytes and you need to be replenishing those. Water's a great everyday, all-day beverage, but when you're training, use those electrolytes and hydration products. Here, back at you today, talking about 5 signs that might indicate no. So as I mentioned, our salt, so there's a couple options. What might, I also would be, So I know I am definitely a salty sweater. Hopefully you have a little better idea after watching that video if you are a salty sweater or not. Be sure and click the like button. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you're using, what hydration products, if you have any questions, and subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss a video. All right, I'll see you in the next one.